Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Janet Palafox, a Loreto sister from the Australia and Southeast Asia province. I am one of the IBVM-CJ NGO representative at the United Nations. Together with Cynthia Matthews, my co-representative, we welcome you all to our webinar, Youth Engagement for Global Justice. The IBVM-CJ UN NGO office, in collaboration with Taramitra India, organized this webinar to celebrate the International Youth Day 2020. But before we begin, some information for today. We are recording and live streaming this webinar on YouTube. By continuing to join us on Zoom, you are giving us your permission to do so and publish the recording on social media. Only the panelists will be able to unmute their mic and speak. Please post your questions on the chat box. The icon is at the bottom of your screen. For those watching on YouTube, you can post your questions on live chat. Feel free to post your questions at any time. Cynthia and Sarah are monitoring the chat boxes. After all the panelists have spoken, they will read your questions for the panelists to respond. If we have time, we might be able to have 2 or 3 people ask their questions directly. So a brief background on what we are celebrating today. In 1999, the UN General Assembly, on the recommendation made by the World Conference of Ministers of Youth, declared the 12th of August as International Youth Day. International Youth Day gives an opportunity to celebrate and mainstream young people's voices, actions, and initiatives, as well as their meaningful, universal, and equitable engagement. In the UN Secretary General's video message for today, Antonio Guterres acknowledged the difficult situation that this generation are currently facing. However, he also said that this generation is resilient, resourceful, and engaged, highlighting their advocacy in climate action, racial justice, gender equality, and peace. There are 1.2 billion young people today, the biggest generation ever. 16% of the global population are aged 15 to 24 years old. When provided with the knowledge and opportunities, they are a positive force for our world and its challenges. Today, we will hear from 6 resilient, resourceful, and engaged young women. Our moderator for today is Francesca Tarcasio, known to most of you, and our most recent youth representative at the UN. She will also share her engagement at a global level. Francesca was a past pupil of Loreto School Turak in Melbourne, Australia. She now works for Loreto Ministries Australia and is currently studying youth work. She hopes to work next year with the Australian government in policy formulation. Please welcome Francesca.
Thanks, Janet. And yes, I'm a very proud past intern and youth representative of the NGO office and still holding on to it as much as I can. And I'm very honoured to be the moderator for today and very excited to hear our speakers. So I'd first like to invite our first speaker, Deva Priyadutta. She's the youth coordinator of Taramitra in Patna National Headquarters. She has a master's degree of sociology from Patna University. Devapriya coordinates the activities and campaigns of Taramitra with school and college going for students for 5 years. She's been the youth representative of Taramitra and has addressed ecological issues concerning the SDGs in New York at the United Nations headquarters. She's also addressed the Pan-Asia Pacific Summit in Bangkok in Thailand. In 2018, she was invited by the religious congregations to address the summit in Rome on the 3rd anniversary of Laudato Si. She's carried out several educational programs with Notre Dame schools in Kenya and Tanzania, Africa in 2019. Apart from Taramitra, she's also in the core committee of South Asia Ecological Jesuit Network for Environmental Collaboration. So please, if we can all welcome Devapriya, and we're very excited to hear you speak.
Greetings to all. Happy World International Youth Day to all of you. I represent Tarumitra, which means Friends of Trees. In the screen, you can see the PPT that I had specially designed for this auspicious day. So, heartiest regards to all my cousins present in this conference. We belong to one planet, one family, one mother, that is Mother Earth. Can we move to the next slide, please? Tarumitra Friends of Trees, a students' forum for environment, started this 3 decades back, and caring for environment and Mother Earth. This is a students' network, which is now networking in 24 states of the country. Next slide, please. Students have eco clubs, the schools and the colleges all over the country. We network with over 2,000 schools and colleges in the country, various clubs, organizations. A lot of eco-friendly initiatives have been designed by the students themselves. Next slide, please. And students of various organizations, they are not only the future, students are the present as well. Time and again, students have been doing a lot of things that has inspired me. I am from Patna, Bihar. In the map, you can see Patna over there. And 5 years back, my association with Tarumitra started. I completed my master's and then I joined Tarumitra. And through Tarumitra, I have reached out to so many, a lot of inspiration that I have taken from the students and the people that I have met in the course of this journey. Next slide, please. And the children of today, the students of today, they have a lot of innovations. They have a lot of creative ideas. Not only just plantation. And if we can see the next slide, in the next slide you will see that whenever there have been some incidents like deforestation or some other works which is harmful for the nature, students, they have like come up with road shows, peaceful demonstrations, and also gone to the local level, government level, central level bodies, and initiated a lot of changes. I look up to the students, I look up to the youth for a lot of inspiration. Maybe have the next slide, please. A lot of things I have learned from the students. Over here in Patna, just 5 years back, I came to know about a concept called earth movers. Instead of cutting trees, you can have earth movers which can translocate the trees from one place to another. This I did not learn during my school and
Apologies. I think we may have lost Devapriya. She might.
so
Okay, Devapriya.
many so many conferences have taken a delegation to do something for the cleanliness of the city. And all the student delegations, agriculture, the central project. So whatever with the students of various schools and colleges, all those things I thought that let's take that to a greater level. Let's have some impact. Let's have some impact so that we can bring about some positive changes. And all those things have given me more encouragement to go for something more, achieve higher. May I have the next slide, please? Along with the students, I have found my zeal for a lot of things, right from organic farming, best out of waste, alternative sources of energy, recycling, conservation of biodiversity, and a lot of new innovative things, that nothing is a waste in this society. A lot of things that has inspired me. May I have the next slide, please? Tarumitra is one such organization which also gave me a platform to reach out to so many via interns, volunteers, and I have had the privilege of representing Tarumitra in the international level as well, be it the Pan Asia Pacific meet in Bangkok, Thailand, where I got to meet people from so many nationalities. Everybody was concerned about the global issues. And also, I got the chance last year itself, 2019, to visit Africa and go to the schools in Kenya and Tanzania, the Notre Dame schools. And I got inspired by them and the passion that I saw in them, that how they beautifully they are taking care of the nature around them, how they are happy with the small, small things. So that was a big thing that gave me a lot of inspiration. Apart from that, I had the privilege of going to the UN. When I went to the UN New York headquarters in 2018, not only I met youth from all over the globe, I also got a chance to go to the Lehigh University that was in Pennsylvania. In Tarumitra, we have been getting interns from Lehigh University, Pennsylvania. And it was a golden chance for me to spend a day in their university and address them. So a lot of learning I have been, you can say, experienced over the days. May we have the next slide, please? So what has happened of late is that I look up to the youth. I look up to the youth. I look up to the students. They come up with some brilliant ideas. And the youth of today, they have the wings. They come up with the creative things that how we can bring about a change. Because if you inspire somebody, that should initiate a change as well. Tarumitra is just one platform, but so many ideas, so many innovations, and so many positive things. Because of Tarumitra and working around with the students, I understood that yes, now I have found a new meaning of my life, a new way of my life, a passion of life, like working with the students and the ecology. Hardly anybody today you will hear the youth talking about environment. We have this Greta Thunberg right now, uh, local heroes, international heroes, the students, Shweta Marandi from India, going and addressing in the UN before me. And so many delegations from Tarumitra have represented Tarumitra in so many international levels. So that's a lot of responsibility on me that, yes, when I have the platform of Tarumitra and students, teachers are there always to inspire you, to guide you, do something more. Let's every day be a protective day. Not only protective, but also productive day. Nature is so dynamic. Small, small things like when a flower blooms, when we are able to conserve something, when we hold the seeds in hand, that gives a different kind of happiness. That kind of happiness, kind of passion of late I am finding. And everybody inspires me. Today, on this occasion of International Youth Day, I tell you, be it of any nationality, be it from any dialect or local region or global region where I have gone, I represented. So the other, each day has a learning day. I myself, I am a student of sociology. Yes, I am a student of sociology. And in sociology, I've been taught that right from the day you're born till the time you go to the grave, you keep on learning. And I do that. I am enjoying that. This platform today, where so many youth are come together to share their success stories, where I am also sharing my story right now. I look up to my the next speakers, the panelists, that will definitely inspire me and audience who are in this platform. 5 years that I have in Tarumitra, that gives me a lot of more zeal, that gives me a lot of more vigor. And students, they have a lot of passion and fuel. You can say that fire inside them. They should not be stopped. The e-clubs and the Tarumitra clubs that I have seen in the schools and colleges, those are not only just limited to weekends. Those are not just limited, you can say, to the holidays. The pandemic that has brought all of us very much together. The globe has now shrinked. And everybody is realizing that we can't take environment or mother for granted. This is the thing that inspires me most. We all coming together, and it is the role of the youth that whenever there is a webinar, whenever Zoom meeting or an online program, Eradicating has come up with this international who are there in the panelists. Because if you're able to make an impact, that will definitely increase your appetite to learn more. That will definitely increase your appetite to learn more, and you will be able to serve also. Definitely. Tarumitra, the name, has given me a new recognition. This identity has also given me a new, you can say, boost up. Friends of trees, eco-friendly thing. So in my daily life also, I practice those things that yes, I have to save electricity. I have to save water. I have to collect the rainwater. In India right now, monsoon is going on. I do a lot of things. I know people are looking up to me. Forget about that. I have expectations from myself. I don't have competition with anybody else. If I see some organization, some another youth, or some other people doing something good, that also inspires me. Yes, that also inspires me. What does it mean? What does it mean? We all are inspiring each other. Let's say thank you to each other. The world right now needs us. The world right now needs us. During my time, during my school days, during my college days, there's not so much of information. I think in the webinar over here, maybe I have used the word creative, innovative, maybe 5 to 10 times. Why? Because seriously, I am amazed and thrilled to see the students today. Not only Thunberg, Malala, many other heroes. No, everybody. It can be the child of you can say helper in the house also, housemaid also. How to take care of small things, small drops and ocean. If we start caring about the things that we can take care of, first as youth or an individual, you have to take care of individual responsibility. And if you can care of your individual responsibility, I am more than 200% sure that you can take care of collective responsibility. To inspire somebody, to have an impact on somebody, you need to do something first. Even the word impossible also says, I am possible. It is like that we are right now shutting the doors, we are inside, we cannot go out, we cannot work. No, this is the time. 2020 is a beautiful year. 2020 is such where, I mean, immunity is, you can say, increasing. We are getting connected to so many else people. I think many of the teachers right now, they are learning new tricks of how to online and conduct classes. Yes, now schooling is just not 6 hours or 8 hours of college into 7. We are learning new things. And it's always for improvement. There's always scope for improvement. I look up to people. I look up to all those people, especially who are even discarded in our society. Here, I want to take 1 minute. Know that I have very little time left. I would like to talk about the genders, LGBT, those sections of the society who have always been unwanted in our society. I have the privilege that in the platform of Mitra, I have been working with the transgenders. I also work with the LGBT section of the society. And they have a lot of action. They have a lot of fire inside them. In my small city, over here in Biharia, 2 years consecutively, I have been part of the Pride Parade. Proudly, I can say, yes, I've been a part of that Pride Parade. When I in the beginning, heartiest regards to all of you. One earth, one other. We believe the whole world is a family. This should be in the mindset of all the youth and all the people who are watching right now. We all are one. Language is no problem. When we watch a movie, always the subtitles are there. Language is never a problem. We should come together. Mother Earth differentiates between to give oxygen and to give less water or more of. So this is the time. The whole world is a family. And UN, yes, this is the UN conference over here. The big family, United Nations, 193 countries coming together. We can take care of all the problems in this platform. And if the youth leads that, if we talk about problems, definitely the problems would be common. And if we talk about it, the solutions would be also common. So from bottom of my heart, once again, I would like to wish you all a very happy International Youth Day and be inspired and also be a beacon of inspiration for the rest of the people as well. Each and every day is a new day. Each and every day is a new day and make the most out of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Devapriya. Thank you very much for sharing your experience and your perspective, and for your passionate view as well on the power of youth and how you look up to youth, which is very empowering. So thank you very much for speaking today. We're so glad to have so many people connected to Loreto and Mary Ward and the CJ and the IBVM all around the world. We feel very lucky to have so many people with so many different perspectives able to speak today. So just before we move to the next speakers, I'd just like to quickly let everybody know we're having a little bit of difficulty live streaming to YouTube. We will do our best to make it hopefully come up in the next 10 minutes. If not, be aware there will be a recording available. So even if people are not able to watch it live, people will still be able to go back and watch it sometime in the next few days on the IBVM CJ UN YouTube channel, which we can post a link to in the chat so everybody can access to it after. Okay, next we would like to welcome some very exciting speakers, 3 young women, Shivani Gond, Nina Rai and Tejaswita Pradhan. So Shivani is a past pupil of Loreto St. Teresa's School in Darjeeling and is currently pursuing a Bachelor of Science at Haridwar Educational College in Uttarakhand. Nina is also a past pupil of Loreto St. Teresa's School, Darjeeling, and is currently pursuing a bachelor's degree from St. Joseph's College in Darjeeling. She's also working as a civic volunteer at Sadar Police Station. Tejaswita Pradhan is a past pupil of Loreto Convent, Darjeeling. She's on her final year of studying literature at Jadavpur University in Kolkata. Now, Shivani, Nina and Tejaswita were members of the Students Against Trafficking organisation. And so we're very excited to hear you young women speak on this Youth Day. So please, when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Shivani. I'm a BSc from Haridwar Educational Uttarakhand. I have completed my schooling from Loreto Center School, Darjeeling. I, along with my friend Nina and Tejaswita, are here to tell you how we managed to burst human trafficking racket. So, where is my screen? I was a member of a SAT club, which means Students Against Trafficking Club, since I was in class 8. Since I'm in class 8, this club belongs to MARG NGO. This NGO is an organization which combats human trafficking, child sexual abuse, and provide education to poor children. My brother, Vishal Gon, who worked in MARG NGO, in 2016, my brother received a case from Mighty Nepal NGO, which is in Nepal. He got a case of a missing girl named Suni. She had been missing from 6 months. Initially, He tried to locate her in India, but could not find her. He gave up his hope. Now, my brother thought of searching her on Facebook. He thought of her translating her name into different languages. To his surprise, he got the same profile picture as Sunny, named as a crazy Kanchi. He immediately sent a friend request and got blocked. Now he thought that she was going to do something wrong. So he went to his boss, Sri Nirnay John Chetri, the General Secretary of Marg NGO, and requested him to send her friend request. He got blocked too. Now my brother asked help from his friend Shalini to send a friend request, which was luckily accepted. As soon as friend request was accepted, my brother started chatting with Sunny. Sunny asked to him from where does she belong, what does she do, and so on, as she thought my brother was a girl. He replied to her she was a poor girl from Nepal. She wanted to do a job and earn money. To this, Sunny replied, "That's brilliant." Now my brother thought that she might be a victim, but she had turned out to be a trafficker. As poverty is one of the main cause of human trafficking, we can say here that people are attracted toward as a victim. As at Sunni began to say to send photos. He asked why. She said she can give a job to girls of any nationality or age. He asked what type of job. She replied that she can give a job who can give them pressure to their clients, and they would get up to 30 to 40,000 per week. Just for that moment, he had to send photo of herself. He Now my brother came to me and asked help. Then he disguised a girl along with my friends. We sent
I'm sorry. I think we may have lost Francesca. I think we may have lost.
I have lost Shivani. That's okay. Well, maybe Nina or Tejasvita, are one of you able to go next while we wait to see if Shivani comes back online?
My name is Nina Rai and I am from Darjeeling and I am currently pursuing my bachelor degree from St. Joseph College, Darjeeling itself. I am also working as a civic volunteer at Sadat Police Station, Darjeeling. I completed my schooling from Loreto St. Teresa Higher Secondary School. When in school, I was also a member of SAT Club, and I will be continuing from when my Shivani Shivani Gon ended her speech. After Sunni Tamang told us that she will be coming to pick us up, and we went down to Pani Tanki, the Indo-Nepal border. When we were asked to wait there, our team consisted of the NGO members, our counselor, and of course the police discussed an eye on of us. As we reached Pani Tanki, we were asked to wait for Sunni at a particular restaurant. After few hours, we received a call in which we were informed that her sister would be coming to pick up us and not Sunni herself. We were waiting for the people to come pick us up from 10 a.m. onwards. It was already It was already past PM when we were worried that they must found position. A girl and a boy casually walked in and as soon as possible inquired us whether or not we were the not then to the room and place had been be provided to us. The moment we got up and took steps, the police were able to apprehend them then and there, after which they were rushed to Kharibari police station for further investigation since all the policemen were disguised. The people who were there were unaware of what was happening. The girl who was apprehended at the restaurant refused to speak at the beginning. However, after pursuing her with questions, she confessed that she was getting paid for picking us up, although the boy who was also apprehended along with her was found innocent. In order to catch culprit, the police asked the girl to comply and help them. Therefore, later on, when Sunni called us to confirm whether the girl comply and help them, therefore later gave us an order. Therefore, later on, when Sunni called us to confirm whether or not we had met her so-called sister, she strictly gave us an order to stay inside and if anything was needed, we were to ask her sister. At the end of the phone call, she added by saying after she would be come and get us all the way from Delhi. She also said that if she did not make it, a friend of her would be arriving.
Um, Good evening to everyone present here as the panelist members. Can you hear me? Okay. Good evening to all respected panelist members and everyone present here at the webinar today. Hello, my name is Tejasweta Pradhan and I'm from Darjeeling. I completed my school from Loreto Convent, Darjeeling, and I am currently studying comparative literature from Jadavpur University and will be graduating this year itself. Going back to where my friend Nina has ended the story, she mentioned that a girl would be coming up to pick us up. I'll be continuing henceforth. The following day, we contacted a girl named Sunni who would come and who said that a middleman would be coming to get us at New Jalpaiguri railway station all the way from Delhi. Once again, a plan was laid down by the police and the NGOs, and the policemen were disguised in civil dress in order to catch the middleman. The middleman around 8 a.m. in the morning arrived at New Jalpaiguri railway station. The middleman was a girl and she was apprehended at the station itself. After interrogating her, the police retrieved the information and she told us that the connection and the chain was much bigger than what we had thought it would be. She informed us that her boss was regulating an international sex racket from Delhi. Unfortunately, she also informed us that the minor girl for whom the NGO had been searching for had also turned into a trafficker herself and was trafficking minors from different places in India. Not only were these informations retrieved from her, but she also told us about fake IDs, job applications that were being given out to girls and minors, and also a ton of money was confiscated from her. In the meantime, the investigation continued about their boss, and within a matter of a week, uh, their kingpin, Mr. Gagan Verma, was apprehended at his workplace from Gurgaon, and we found out that he was allegedly running an international sex racket. This criminal is currently behind bars, and the investigation is still continuing. This man has been charged with several jurisdictions and clauses. And after the accomplishment of this mission, we were not, all three of us were not expecting anything in return. However, we were very glad that we were able to do something for the society itself. The opportunity of us being presented with the National Bravery Award came to us by surprise. Through this award, we were able to be inspired even more and wanted to inspire others as well. In a way, through this award, we were motivated even more to give back to our community itself, and kept on spreading awareness about human trafficking in our community and to minors. We were capable of performing at such situations only because of the fact that we were aware of human trafficking. And this awareness was brought to us by the awareness programs done by the NGO MARG at our respective schools. Through these awareness programs, every individual in our schools were able to understand and know about how human trafficking worked. At the end, know about how human trafficking would work. At the end, I would also like to say that the fact that all the three of us were a member of SAT Club, as my friend Shivani mentioned. SAT Club is Students Against Trafficking Club. In our respective schools, Loreto St. Teresa's and Loreto Convent itself, it played a very vital role in helping us to make others aware of the fact of how human trafficking worked. And also, it was a plus point for us that we worked selflessly in order to rescue a minor girl, and at the end catch the criminal itself. It was through the courage and bravery shown by the team, the entire team who was working for this case, that we were able to complete this mission. It was through teamwork that we were able to acknowledge the fact that how important it was to share a bond of trust within the team itself and work together. There was not a moment during this entire mission that we worked that we felt alone. The entire team was always there to back us up. And at the end, I would also like to say that it was not just the three of us. Three of us who worked or acted bravely or courageously, but it was a selfless and a courageous act of the entire team that helped eventually to catch hold of the kingpin, and to provide a better society, a community, and a protective environment for minors, especially girl child at a place where we live, or the hill areas. Hereby coming to an end, I would like to say that teamwork is an ability to work together for a common vision. It is a fuel that allows common people to accomplish uncommon results, I would like to say. And also, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for allowing us to express our views and hearing us out in this webinar today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to all three of you for sharing your story. I know it's a story that we heard about a few weeks ago on the World Day Against Human Trafficking, and myself and my colleagues were so interested and excited to hear your story, and it truly is a great testament to the ambition and the compassion of the CJ and IBVM young students all around the world. So a very inspiring story, and we thank you again to Nina Tejaswita and to Shivani, who I am not sure has been able to get back on, but we certainly send our thanks her way. Next, we have a young woman, Aileesh, who is the current head girl for Loreto Altrincham in the UK. So she's the head girl for 2020 to 2021. She's planning to work on her head girl project by focusing on women's rights and Loreto's connection to the global community, especially through the work of the UN. The primary focus will be on SDG 5, gender equality. Aileesh is interested in issues close to her home in Manchester, such as period poverty, an issue increasingly impacting women and girls following the COVID-19 pandemic. She's eager to address issues including human trafficking and girls' education internationally through community fundraising, direct action, and learning from those laying the groundwork. So thank you, Aileesh, and we look forward to hearing you speak.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello to everyone watching, and thank you for the speakers so far. As head girl of Loreto Grammar and Altrincham, my role does involve creating a project to raise awareness and fundraise for an issue that's important to me, but also the students of my school. I chose gender equality, which is the 5th SDG, because the Loreto community has always exposed me to the global injustices that face women daily, and how really it's not only the responsibility of other people, but my generation, myself, and my peers. The project technically does last a year from this coming September, but as is the nature of education itself, it will have a lasting impact on the students that take part. So we're hoping to be able to mobilise the members of our school to become members of a global community, which starts in schools in the local areas. As events of 2020 have really devastated numerous societies and impacted the daily lives of so many people, I feel that a focus on gender equality in school is really now more relevant than ever. 2020 has especially made us kind of reassess how we live as students and look at the people who may otherwise have been overlooked in our societies. Issues like racial injustice have come into international prominence this year as communities were forced to become closer and foster more togetherness. We've encouraged a global event. We've never encountered a global event as impactful as coronavirus, but it has increased our awareness of the need for social justice and highlighted how we do have new tools that we can use to address it. The first tool will be social media, which is still quite a recent creation, but in the era of COVID, it is shown to be a tool of micro to mass mobilization that is really crucial to the fight. It can be used to harness the power of opinions, which we have seen unfold during the pandemic. And the connections possible online are invaluable to the mobilisation of our global community, which starts in schools and with young people. In school, we've done this through our virtual newsletters, where students and clubs write about their activities to read for people to read in the local area. This includes charity fundraisers for Cornerstone and CAFOD that were done by our chaplaincy representatives in school. I'm also eager to continue to write about the work of the UN and how it impacts women and girls internationally, because I've had experience in writing this in school newsletters where students then ask me about more and how they can learn more. So I think it is really important to encourage these people to do their own research. There are instances where our generation faces the same problems that have faced people for a long time also, and the tool of social media and the increased sense of community can help that as well. So the outbreak of COVID, as everyone knows, coincided with some of the largest mass demonstrations in the USA in years, and the Black Lives Matter cause was taken up primarily by young people using online networking, which managed to spread across continents. This mobilisation really harnessed young people's communication and started the difficult conversations around race we need to continue to engage in so that we can make change. At Loreto, we put together a presentation to advocate for racial justice. This included a group of students and a group of teachers also, and we researched how racism is prevalent in media, in popular culture, how it's developed since the 60s in America, in the UK. And we also put together some books, podcasts and websites so that people can do their own independent research. It was presented to a year group who are of a younger age than we are, but I do think that it's important that we keep showing it to more students year after year, because it's a problem that's going to face us as long as we kind of ignore it. So we do need to make that at the forefront. At Loreto also, we can see that education has suffered because people have been taken out of school, and millions of children will suffer because of this, because they may not have the education at home that other children do. And independent learning has been such a widely used tool and necessary to a young person's education when they don't have teachers in a classroom. Interestingly, though, as life does kind of get back to normal, I think it's important that we encourage independent learning still, because when you have independent learning, people are learning to educate themselves about issues outside of a classroom that aren't as academic but are just as important, and they can communicate with others doing the same online. In my own school, I plan to bridge this communication gap resulting from COVID by encouraging the same sharing of opinions and knowledge across years safely online, because obviously regulation is an issue. Creating school reading lists from a diverse selection of authors to understand people's experiences, and not just those that we know who are very different from our own, is in my opinion one of the first steps to actually spreading respect, understanding and community acceptance. Finally, the issue of period poverty is really important to me and my peers, as coronavirus has revealed that school closures and job losses, and one of the worst recessions in, well, the first recession in 11 years in the UK anyway, will really impact how women can actually access sanitary products. So I'm looking to set up a donation scheme, which has been done in past years at Loreto, for Manchester women and girls who don't have access, but I would like to expand this to a global outreach programme, due to the fact that it does affect women and girls globally, and it's generally ignored where we don't see it, especially in Loreto School, where we do have the link to our global community to make grassroots and then international change. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I've really enjoyed listening to the experiences of everyone else as well.
Thank you so much, Aileesh. It was really great to hear from you and to hear your passion, and I'm very excited to see, to hopefully hear about and see the work that you're able to do in your next year as head girl. So thank you so much for sharing, and for sharing your perspective from the UK as well. We've got a very global panel this afternoon, or this evening, or this morning probably for some of you as well. So I'm going to introduce myself next, and I'll be chatting a little bit about my experience as a youth representative for the IBVM and CJ congregations at the United Nations in New York. So I'll give you a little bit of a background first on how I became interested in the UN and in the work that I did at the UN while I was there. So I am a past pupil of Loreto Toorak in Melbourne in Australia. And following my school and my last year of school, I was accepted into a program at university called Science Global Challenges. Now, this was a relatively new course that aimed to look at science communication, and the motto was Think Science, Lead Change. And so through studies in science communication and science leadership and science entrepreneurship, we were taught how to manage and challenge different social and environmental and economic issues, and what we called adaptive challenges, which are challenges that don't really have a set solution or an obvious solution, that require a lot of collaboration between different groups. And we're encouraged to use kind of scientific and analytical thinking to challenge and try and take action on these issues. Now, at first, I decided to study this course because I wanted to be a veterinarian and I wanted to look after animals. But as I became more aware of the different analytical and technical skills in this course, I became aware of how much we need global collaboration and multilateralism and interdisciplinary action to address these challenges, and how often that scientific thinking can be used to address social issues and economic issues, not just environmental issues. And I think it was an important discovery as well to understand how an issue in Australia can be a global issue, and how an issue in India can be affected by choices made in Australia, and how, as we became a more globalized nation, how that then impacted the way that we solve challenges. And I think I saw this as a bit of a barrier to change, is how, and I guess we can look at the pandemic in this way as well. The pandemic is a global pandemic, but we seem to very much be trying to tackle this issue nationally. It's every country for themselves, when in reality, the global pandemic isn't affecting just singular countries. It's moving around the world and it's a global issue. And so I guess that's where my interest for the UN started. I see the UN as an organization that is really the first step in being able to address issues that span across nations and across continents, but also might affect just one country, which is at the end the responsibility of all of us, because the ramifications of that can affect each and every person as we do become more globalised. So how I got into my role as youth representative. So as I said, once I left Loreto Turak, I maintained a strong connection to the school. I was a volunteer for the Darjeeling Mary Ward Social Centre for 1 month at the end of 2016. I did an internship for the Mary Ward International Australia office in Melbourne. And I was even a gymnastics coach for a while at my old school. And so I was very involved and very much still very connected to the Mary Ward vision and the Mary Ward values. And so I was aware that we had an office at the United Nations and decided to apply for an internship. And I was accepted, and I started in November last year as a youth representative. And so I saw my role as a youth representative from a number of different lenses. For one, I was a young person at the United Nations and there to represent the youth voice across the world. And so that was important in a lot of different global issues where perhaps the youth perspective isn't considered. And I was there to empower young people and to really make sure that I use my voice as a young person to bring up the conversation of how young people should be addressed in different issues. So an example of this is during the forum on homelessness earlier this year. I was very aware to attend different meetings and different groups on challenging what to do about young people in homelessness and youth and homelessness connected as well. Another role that I saw myself there was as a youth representative for all the young people within our organisation. So across all of IBVM and CJ, I was there as much as I could be to be a voice for our greatest needs and our greatest challenges. And then lastly also, I was there to ensure that important information on youth issues that I garnered from the United Nations could be brought back to our network in some way. So I did this through webinars, which I've held a number of times this year, and also through some articles, and just through communication and connection with the young people in our organisation. So what did my day-to-day look like? It looked like, as I said, attending different forums and trying to inject the youth voice into these forums, trying to challenge people to include a youth perspective, and also attending different working groups and doing the same thing there, ensuring that when we were trying to address different challenges, to always ask, okay, how do young people fit into this? As you well may know, the youngest population today is the biggest population of under 25s that the world has ever seen. So we have a strong voice, and many of the decisions that we make about different challenges at the moment are directly going to impact our future. Now, I just think there isn't enough space for young people at the moment to talk about our perspective when it is a highly valuable perspective. So it was very important for me to ensure that at the UN and in different issues, the young people had a voice when it is such an effective and powerful and valued voice as well, should be valued. And so we must continue, I guess, to find ways for young people to be a part of these conversations. And I think the more and more we push, the more it becomes normal to have young people on boards and young people in positions that are of decision making and young people in consultative positions as well. And so I really wanted to be here today, and I know we probably have a lot of young people watching today. I'm sure we have a lot of educators and a lot of people who work with young people as well. And I think connecting with the UN can seem like something that is quite hard to do as a young person or as just a person that doesn't have prior experience or connections to the UN. But I'd like to let you know that there are very accessible options to be a part of the United Nations as a young person. And so I'll put some links in the chat box once I finish speaking. But the first thing I would like people to investigate a little bit is the United Nations Major Group for Children and Youth. Now, you might have heard of this, but this is the UN mandated group for young people and for children at the United Nations. And what that means is that if the United Nations is looking for a youth voice or is looking for a youth perspective, they will often go to this group of young people to ask for a speaker or to ask for some youth perspective or youth consultation on a report, for example. Now, this is a really effective group, and it's also one that's very easy to become a connection with. So what you would have to do is go onto their website, and you can actually sign up to be a member as an individual. So as a young person, as an individual, I believe the age is under 32. And as soon as you get in there, you can highlight a few issues that are most important to you, and you can get updates and emails on their working groups. Now, there are lots of opportunities to help to write different reports, to join in different meetings with people, truly young people from all over the world. And I'd encourage you also to follow them on social media if possible. I know they probably are also having a few webinars on International Youth Day today. I know there was a fantastic one that I was looking at joining, but unfortunately it is at 5 a.m. my time. So I'm not sure if I'll be jumping on that one, but I know you are able to see it on their Facebook page. It is run by the African Union Division of the UN Major Group for Children and Youth. So I might put a link in that, the chat box for that in a little bit. Another thing you can do is finding different organisations. As I said, there's a lot of webinars going on at the moment that you're able to attend, and a lot of these are open to a lot of young people. And so trying to engage as much as you can and really getting your name out there and really getting the issues that you care about out there into these spaces. Also staying up to date with different issues. Can you make links between these different issues? Again, if you have one issue that you're passionate about, trying to understand how it fits into the bigger environment and into the kind of a more globalized world can be very important. And I think to anybody here who works in an organisation, trying to reflect and think about, okay, where are there opportunities for young people to be involved and young people to assist and consult in making decisions, I think is just as important as well. So I'm very excited about this population of young people, and I think the action that I've seen today on International Youth Day by young people has been very encouraging and very inspiring. We certainly are an ambitious generation. We're very curious and we're very thoughtful as well of the global environment and of global issues. Some of the most powerful events I went to at the UN during my time as youth representative were run and led by young people. And so I'm very excited to see what will come of this generation and of youth action as well. So thank you everybody for listening to me speak today, and happy International Youth Day. I see that we're almost at the end, and I'll just pass on to Janet quickly to ask about Q&A and whether people have any questions. So if you do have a question, please feel free to put it in the chat, I believe. And Janet, how are we going for time? How many questions do you think we can take today?
Sorry, Francesca. Cynthia will be checking the Q&A. There's about 3 questions, I think, and I think we've got time for short answers. Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks, Cynthia.
Francisco, there is one question. Today, youth are the most affected by the pandemic in many ways. What are the measures taken by the UN? That's only one question I am seeing.
Okay, I think I see 2 more questions on mine too, Cynthia. Do you have them on your Q&A?
No, I have only one.
Okay. I feel like I can read them out too, and then we can start preparing the answers. I see one, how can we be a part of Terra Mitra? So perhaps Deborah would like to answer that in a moment. And then how do we find worth inspiration to students, and do we need it? So thinking about how I guess we can find ways to inspire our students, or whether we think our students are already inspired, maybe they need something else. So first, Deborah, would you be able to briefly answer the question, how can we be a part of Terra Mitra?
Thank you, Francesca. It would be really nice if you can just pardon the question once more, please.
Sure. How can we be a part of Terra Mitra?
If you can repeat the question once more.
How can we be a part, or how can we be involved in Terra Mitra?
Please unmute yourself. I can't hear you. Francesca, unmute yourself.
Depriya, the question is, how can we be part of Tharumitra?
You can just repeat the question.
How can we be part of Tharumitra? Can you hear?
How can we be a part of Tarumitra? That is the question, right?
Yes.
You can log in. You log into our website, or otherwise you can just mail me. I will write in the chat box, or in just write tarumitraindia@gmail.com. Online volunteership form is also there. Online internship form is also there. You can become a part of that. And maybe I can share my number. I can share my number in the chat box. So it is either devopriyadatta@gmail.com or tarumitraindia@gmail.com. You can send in your application, or I'll give my WhatsApp number as well. And you can apply for internship online, and you can also apply for volunteership also. Thank you.
Yeah, there is another question, Francesca. How do we collect information about true NGOs, for there are many false associations running nowadays?
Okay, I'll answer that question very quickly. One way that you could try is you can see if different NGOs are connected with the United Nations first, if they have consultative status to the United Nations. If an organization has that, you can be sure that it is a true NGO. Otherwise, also just reaching out and asking questions can be a great way to see if they are a true or a false association, trying to ask a bit more information about what they do, the impact they have, and trying to ask for information on the data and the strength of that impact as well can be very important. But it is a fair question, and I think it might take a little bit of investigation sometimes, but it is worth it to ensure that the impact that you're having is valuable and is going to the right places. Now, the question of how do we find ways to inspire our students and to give inspiration to our students, and do they really need it? Aileesh, I was going to ask you this question. So you're around a lot of young people as head girl of the Altrincham, and I guess how would you find and give inspiration to students to be engaged in global issues? And on the other hand, do you think they need it, or what else do you think they could be given?
I definitely think that we do need inspiration. I'd say a lot of students kind of want to help, but they don't know how sometimes. So a lot are inspired to do something when they hear about something. And it's not that they don't care, it's that sometimes they don't have the knowledge or the education or the means to do so. So when you have people in different countries communicating and saying, well, we want help with this, or this is what you can do, that's when people think, okay, well, I will spread awareness, I will get involved, I will donate. And I think we've seen that a lot with crises this year, really, in 2020. So I think they do need inspiration, but it's not because they don't want to help and they need to be made to. It's that they need sort of direction, because they haven't got the experience that they can kind of gain from other people to then add what they want to do to that, if that makes sense.
No, it does. I think the word that you use, direction, people require direction. I think they're more than capable of taking the action and having the inspiration and the ambition to make a difference. I think sometimes it is finding the paths and the alleys to have that impact can be most important. I have just seen a new question. What are some things we can do from home during this pandemic for these important issues on a global scale? Like I said before, there are many webinars accessible if you look online, and a good place to start can be through the UN Major Group for Children and Youth. I wanted to know whether either Nina or Tejaswita, I don't believe that Shivani was able to log back in, but whether either of you had any perspective on things that we can do at home during this global pandemic to make a difference, particularly perhaps online, or again, addressing that question of inspiration as well, if you had any perspectives on that.
Hello once again. Currently, since everything is going on online, and we are having online studies and whatnot, regarding the fact that it's very easy for preyers like human traffickers to catch hold of minors or students like us in online websites and whatsoever. It's better if you spread awareness among yourselves and your friends or your minors or your sisters or your brothers about how online education also, like there's like a trap for human traffickers. That's all I would like to say. And be aware of the fact of which website you log into or which site you go to, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had another question from the YouTube chat. How can we overcome the communication gap due to COVID? Now, I'll take if any of the speakers have any perspective on this. How can we overcome the communication gap and the technology gap?
May I answer that question?
Sure.
When I was talking about my part, I said one thing, that language has no problem. And this communication, because of this digital world right now, we all have come so closer together. The world has shrunk. Somebody is sitting in Italy, somebody is sitting in Darjeeling, somebody is sitting in Rome, but we can see each other, we can hear each other. Those who are not very much techno savvy also, they are also learning, they are also upgrading themselves. And this is the only way, because the COVID that is going on right now, online education is there everywhere. In India, if I talk about my country, India, new education policy is being framed right now. How education would be imparted to the students, how the teachers would be trained also to teach the students online. So a lot of material is there, a lot of experimentation is there. Just yesterday it was all there in the news that Russia came up with the first vaccine, and Putin's daughter, she has been taken the first dose. So experimentation, we can always hope against hope with the experimentation. So I don't think that communication is a major problem. No way. Communication has, you can say right now, taken a leap. Communication has taken a leap right now, and with this digital modern technology, there is hardly any barrier. So COVID has taught us, and COVID has given us this opportunity. I will take the positive aspect of that. I will take the positive role of that, in which the communication is becoming more, you can say, communicable. It is becoming more easier. That is what I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your perspective. Very valuable. Okay, let's see. Do we have?
There's one.
Yes.
Can anyone be part of MARG?
Ooh. What is?
Question. As suicide is a very big issue among the youth, be it due to education or any other problems, how can they be helped?
Okay. I will. We have. I'll just try and address that final question. As suicide is a very big issue among the youth, be it due to any education or any other problems. How can they be helped? I think from a perspective of mental health, I know that that's been a big a challenge during the pandemic, especially due to different forms of isolation, particularly right now. I think continuing to find ways to connect and support young people, and I think continuing to give a voice to young people as well and asking for what they need. I think there is a very common pattern amongst young people within many different challenges of making assumptions about what they might need based on perhaps someone else's experience of being a young person. But being aware too that young people in these generations have very different experiences of what youth looks like. I think technology has posed a major challenge that many people are not aware of or are not able to understand the experience. I know even for myself, some people who are younger than me, I'm not completely able to understand the experience that they've had growing up. So I think really giving a space to listen to young people and ask for what they need, and continuing to find ways to support young people to be able to express what they need as well can be very, very important. Does anybody else have any perspectives on that?
May I address that one as well, my perspective?
Sure.
Here again, the same answer is communication. Communication. People, they talk about right now social distancing. I don't think it is physical distancing right now. We are taking our health precautions. We have to wear masks. You have to have your sanitizers. This, that, any gathering, not more than that number. So it is all about physical distancing, but it is not about social distancing, right? So communication maybe on a daily basis. It is up to the family also to come closer together, all of us together. As communication is the main. Whenever there has been a communication gap, something has been disrupted. That also relates to our mental state of health as well. So if communication, if communication is bridged, then I don't think that these circumstances of suicide maybe can be avoided. That is my perspective. Thank you.
Thank you again for sharing your perspective, Bravery. I think that is very important, that idea of communication, and ensuring that we have access to those communication channels as well. I just see in the chat, Shivani is waiting to join. She would like to speak. I will just check if she is. I'm not sure if she's able to connect, but hopefully she's able to get in. Okay, and I see there's a few more questions again about mental health with young people. So hopefully we'll be able to address that and being able to overcome issues in the pandemic. And especially I'm seeing a few questions on how COVID is affecting young people and how the lack of interaction and living in a very virtual world at the moment can be affecting young people. I think it's a very unfortunate experience for young people to be having. And I think that Aileesh, I was wondering if you were able to give perhaps your perspective on what your experience of being a student during a pandemic looks like, and what have been the challenges of having to continue school and hold a leadership role like head girl throughout a pandemic. If you had any perspective on that, that would be very interesting to hear, I think.
Well, as a student, I can definitely say it's been very surreal. I don't think anyone expected it. But I can only really speak from my experience, and I guess we're quite lucky that we do have the ability to connect with our friends online. I'm sure there's so many people who can't do that, and without that it would have been so much more difficult. So we can still keep in contact with our teachers as well. And although it did require quite a lot of students to take on a bit more independent learning than they were expecting to at this stage, because we do have one final year of like secondary school, so usually that year you're still expected to be in a classroom. It's not as much like higher education, so people kind of thrown into faster than they're expecting. But I do think our teachers in particular in the Reto were brilliant at keeping track of how we were doing, but overall on a global scale I'm sure that a lot of students have found that difficult. In terms of head girl, I've only just in the past couple of months started to sort of make some connections to do with that and talk to people at school about that. So I'll really start doing it in September. But so far I've just had a lot of really encouraging younger students say things that they'd like to do or talk about things that are important to them. And through our newsletters that we've had at the end of the year and talks we've had in school, I've been able to hear their opinions. So I'm just looking forward to like doing that in school from September.
Absolutely, and we wish you best of luck. I'm sure you'll take it in your stride. And yeah, I can very much I congratulate all students who are moving through this year, very challenging and difficult and different year for many. So I commend you on that, and to all our students who are watching as well. I have a lot of compassion for you all going through this year. I see that Shivani has been able to get back on the call, and just wanted to know, hopefully she has been able to hear some of the questions and some of the discussions that we've been having. And I think we might almost be at the end of the webinar, but I just wanted to give her a chance to speak. So Shivani, did you have any perspectives or any experiences that you'd like to share on anything that we've spoken about? I'm happy to address some questions if you'd like as well. Wanted to just unmute yourself when you're ready.
Hello, ma'am. I'm back again. So I want to state that we should never hesitate to help others. Even in our small step, if we take, we can save the world, not the world, but we can save a little society also. So if little society can be saved, then it means that we are saving world only. So I must say that never hesitate to help others. Our small action can help others to smile. That much I want to say. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Shivani. Thank you for your perspective. And we're sorry that you weren't able to be there for some of the webinar, but we thank you for being able to get back on as well. Okay. I just wanted to check in with Cynthia and Janet on how we're going for timing, and whether we can answer any more questions, or whether we are almost at the end of the webinar.
Yeah. I think we can take one more question. The last question: is there a global community dedicated to eradicating gender equality and homophobia?
I'll just quickly address this in terms of, again, the UN Major Group for Children and Youth. You'll notice there are quite a few different, what they call working groups, which are essentially smaller communities which have more of a focus. And there is a number of different issues that they tackle. In terms of specifically gender inequality, I think that a great global youth community dedicated to that can be ours. There are many issues within the IBVM and CJ UN office that we focus on gender equality and young men and girls. In terms of homophobia, there are and gender equality and global youth communities, that there are none that I'm aware of, but I encourage you to look online and to try and find some within your community or more globally as well. Devapriya, you had your hand up. Did you have something to add?
Yes, for this LGBT only, I have also mentioned in the chat box about the community that I work with all over the country, Dostana Safar. So in the year 2010, one of the LGBT transgender, you can say trans woman, she represented the community in the UN level. She is known as Mahamandaleshwar Lakshmi Narayan. So all the people, the audience who are listening to me right now, 2010 there was representation by this transgender by the name of Lakshmi Narayan, and she also is working for the upliftment of the LGBT section, and she is the voice for them. So you can just check for that in the Dostana Safar that I have mentioned, and it is not only Indian, it is global as well, with a UN representation as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Thank you for sharing your resources.
Okay.
Yes, Cynthia?
We can ask, from the audience if they want any, if they can raise their hand, and then we can unmute them and ask one or two questions more, because we have 5 minutes more.
Okay. So was there anybody that in the audience that wanted to send a message in the chat, and we can unmute you and you can ask your question. And if possible, if you have a question, perhaps if you could dedicate it to a particular speaker and ask of a particular speaker, that would be very helpful. So if you wanted to alert us in the chat with your name, and we may be able to, we can unmute you as well. Can't see anyone coming up in the chat that wants to ask a question. No, Cynthia, it doesn't look like at the moment anyone's put their hand up to ask a question. I see one last question here, perhaps from the Q&A. It says, how to select specific issues to work towards as a youth, as a young person. So I think in terms of finding an issue that you're passionate about to work towards, I think often that will come naturally. I think there's no limit to how many issues you can try to work towards and find solutions for. And I think that there is no right or wrong answer in which issues you choose to challenge. I think try and let it come naturally. Go with your instinct, go with your passion, because I think, as we've seen here this evening, throughout all our speakers, is that you know when someone can be really passionate about a different issue or about a challenge. You see it in their body language, in the way that they speak about the issue, and that passion cannot be learned. Often it comes naturally. So I think just allowing yourself to explore, discover different issues, and see which ones that naturally you are drawn to and you're more curious about. Okay. Can't see in terms of any.
One more question. Can you unmute Rashmi? She's asking a question.
Can she be able to raise a hand? Rashmi, yes, I will. That should work. Rashmi, are you able to? Yes, we can hear you.
Hello, good evening, ma'am. Ma'am, it's me, Reshmi Khanam from India, and I'm doing my DLED from Loiter House.
Fantastic. Did you have a question or a
yes,
comment?
ma'am, I do have a. Yes, ma'am, I have a question. Ma'am,
Sure.
Nowadays, social and political issues are the biggest challenge for youth, as we struggle to differentiate what is good or bad. So how we can deal with it?
I open up to any of the panelists. If they have any perspective on how to address these challenges, feel free to give me a wave. I'll say my perspective first in terms of differentiating good and bad, and trying to understand how maybe issues impact different groups and how they're different challenges. I think trying to find sources to educate yourself. I know that the UN has a daily update that they'll send you with different issues that are going on in the world. So trying to understand how they impact different people is very important. I think also allowing yourself to take in information and be able to critically think about that information and think about its importance or its impacts. I think especially during this COVID pandemic, it's brought to light a lot of misinformation and how misinformation can impact
misleading
others.
information.
Yeah, so it's how we receive the information, exactly, and being able to understand how that is connected to other pieces of information and other issues, and being able to build a story about that information so that we can understand its impacts and whether it might be good or bad. I hope that was able to answer your question a little bit.
Yes,
and I
ma'am.
encourage, do any of the other speakers have anything to add to that?
Maybe I can just add a word to that. See, generally when we hear the word politics, all negative things come in our mind. People come up for the vote banks, especially during the election times. And when we talk about social things, we start thinking about poverty, unemployment, and other social issues. So if somebody is in a political field and that person has the thorough knowledge of that what he is dealing with, and if he can do something for the society, knowledge is important. The same thing as information. Francesca was telling somebody who is knowledgeable, who has information, and if that person is doing something, then definitely a collective consciousness is also very much important. Today's youth, all of us today's youth, we all are we are a thinking youth. We are discussing about it. Have discussed among your peer circle, your friend circle, and then maybe you can become a bit political aware as well, and that may help you in coming up with a conclusion what is good and what is bad. Discussion is important.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Devapriya, and thank you, Rashmi. Did you have any last comments to add on that or about the webinar?
Ma'am, it was really an enriching experience that we are gaining from it. And from the different part of the world, we can listen to the stories like your story and many people's story and how they like overcame with the situation. It was really an amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
We thank you for connecting with us today. It's been we've been very thankful to have so many participants on Zoom and also on our YouTube channel. Okay, Cynthia and Janet, it looks like that might be it for our questions. I don't see anybody else on the chat in terms of raising their hand
There's
to
one
speak. So I'll
important
hand it over
question.
to
How I get to know if someone is involved in human trafficking? Because most of things on the website show that they are secured.
I think it might be best to pass this question over to one of the 3 young women from the Students Against Trafficking group, if you have any perspective. So how do we get to know if someone's involved in human trafficking?
Shivani, would you like to answer the question?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say that the person, most of who are the victims of human trafficking are the teenagers who don't know the proper use of the social media. Social media is the main nowadays to how the person is connected with the trafficker. If we know the good and bad of a social media, then we can surely know that how to be safe. That is the main thing that we have to know, that how to go on the right path. We should connect the elders and our organization or the person who knows about the good and bad of that social media particularly. So I want to say that if we know the good and bads of the communicating with different types of new peoples, we should know that the person is good or bad initially, then we should more chat about them. So that's the only thing I want to say.
I would like to add to this point that eventually you'll find out who is a human trafficker or not by knowing the fact that he or she, by the way he or she is acting. Either the human trafficker or the person who is trying to traffic you will either lure you into a trap by telling you that he or she might buy you some stuffs or give you some money. So especially minors and teenagers at the moment should be aware of the fact that money is not everything right now, because poverty leads to trafficking, and people should be aware of the fact that where they go and look for money itself. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your perspective, Giovanni and Jessica. Yes, Cynthia?
Okay. So I know many have questions. So we are not able to answer due to the time factor. Of course, your questions, you can email to us, to any of the panelists. So as we have come to the end of this session, it's my privilege to thank you all on behalf of Janet and me for joining us to celebrate the Youth Day. First of all, I would like to thank our panelists for the very inspiring and challenging work that they are doing. We have already heard from their experience. Yes, I am sure we are all very impressed and inspired by your sharing, dear panelists, vibrant youth group. Thank you, Devapriya, for coming in to share about the work that you do with so much passion and enthusiasm. You are a very vibrant environmental activist, and we appreciate your work. Thanks to our very courageous young ladies, Shivani, Nina, and Tejaswita, for sharing with us your very brave action, risking your own life to save the lives of others. That was an amazing work. Thanks a lot for making it to be with us today. Of course, our dear youth representative Francesca deserves our gratitude and appreciation. Though she has finished her internship with us in our office, she's always there whenever we ask for any help. Thank you, Francesca, for moderating the session so well and also sharing with us the opportunities the youth have in getting engaged at the United Nations world. Thanks a lot. Our sincere thanks to all the participants who have joined us via Zoom and those listening to the YouTube live streaming. Thanks for spending your valuable time with us. Once again, a big thanks to all of you. Take care, be safe. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you, Cynthia.